Good morning, everybody. Early start for the Dorset Spur boys today. It is now 9 o'clock, 9:30ish.
9:07.
9:07, and we've been on the road since 7 o'clock this morning.
5 McDonald's we've gone by. One of them we sampled.
Well, we did try it. So we've said we'd do a little bit of a preview video on the way up. So this is that. So first thing we're going to just touch on is the Arsenal game, because we haven't met up since that result. So first question, George, what did you think about the penalty decision?
Penalty was soft, but you can tell why he's given it. I think a lot of fullbacks will go into doing that sort of move to put off the attacker, but it's quite obvious that it was a foul, and it was easily something that could have been avoided from. Was it Cedric that did it? I think it was Cedric.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, it just needs to be a bit more clever there, I reckon. But you know, it is a foul. It is one of them softer ones though. So
Ian, what's your view? Penalty for you?
Yes, a nailed on penalty. Only because of the fact I think that the fans, the atmosphere actually contributed tremendously to it. It gave us a chance of getting the decisions that might otherwise been a little bit dubious. But Cedric should have been a bit cleverer about it than that. You don't do it so blatantly as that, you know? Yeah, we're better than that.
So soft penalty, but still a penalty. And we were, if that had gone against us, we'd have moaned, but we'd have accepted it, I think, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Oh, it was a penalty.
In hindsight, because obviously we're not Arsenal fans, so we would have just accepted it as it is. So moving on.
Used to failure.
Yeah. So moving on, the other controversial point, sending off Rob Holding. Ian, what do you reckon?
Should have gone earlier. The referee actually allowed it to get that silly because of the fact he should have booked him on the first one. Yes, it was a definite penalty. It was a definite sending off. But I think Sonny was actually lucky not to actually get a booking for the Holding situation, the one before, where he was sort of like put an elbow out a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I agree with that. So, do you think it should have been a straight red, or do you just think it was a second yellow?
Straight red.
Straight red.
Straight red. Yeah.
George, your view?
well, I think it deserves the second booking, but there's the thing: he's done about 2 or 3 in the lead up to actually getting sent off. So
the referee should have been a bit harder on it in the first place.
Yeah. That being said, obviously, like Ian said about the Sonny point, I think Son's actually very lucky that doesn't go to VAR. Because I think if it does, he gets sent off.
Yeah.
You see the action that Son does when he's rolling around with him in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. No,
he does chuck an arm in.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I think the two of them, there was a battle going on. One of them was going to go. At some point in that game, one of them was going to go. And I think that we were lucky that it was.
But the fans contributed to that as well because of the atmosphere that was actually in there.
So do you think if the fixture had been reversed, do you think that some would have been off?
Yeah.
Earlier.
Let's put it this way: if Rob Holding rolls around on the floor holding his face, makes a big thing of it, I think it goes to VAR and Son does get the send off.
Yeah.
But that being said, that doesn't mean that Holding shouldn't have been sent off because he does accumulate 3 or 4 fouls before he actually does get sent off.
So for me, the biggest thing, right, when before Son threw his elbow, the foul before that, Rob Holding kicked him in the ribs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the ball. It wasn't like he feigned it as if he was getting up or anything like that. He literally just kicked him in the ribs.
Well, his job was obviously just to be on top of Son all day.
Yeah.
That was his role for the
and to
night.
niggle at him, and he was. I thought he was. I thought he was getting into Son's head a bit.
Yeah. Remind me a little bit of the Bournemouth game when Sonny got sent off because Lerma was actually onto him. It's exactly the same sort of situation, wasn't it?
Well, that's what I do. I think in order to have a bit more of an impact on the game defensively, they were getting at us quite early doors. If you remember, like the first 10-15 minutes, they started quite fast.
Yeah.
And they kept trying to sort of put in ardent blocks and challenges early doors. So
yeah, they tried to play a bit of a physical game, and I think they got out physicaled. But Sonny does have that in his. For me, I think Sonny does have that. I think he needs to be a bit careful, and I thought Kane looked after him a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Cedric was having a bit of a go at him, and he kind of pushed him away like a little worm in the end.
Yeah. Swatting and flying.
Yeah. So for me, obviously happy with the result. I think we're all happy with the result, obviously, but felt it could have been more if we'd have really gone for it.
Yeah, we took our foot off the pulse really a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, or the gas.
So our finger off the pulse, or our foot off the gas,
Yeah.
finger on the post.
But we could
Right,
actually have
gotcha.
both or either or.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, you say that. I think
we've got such superior goal difference to Arsenal that actually that's not going to come into the equation. All they were doing, they were being very smart and saving themselves for today.
Yeah,
You know?
in the actual game, I think you go 1-0 up. That's always a bit of a bonus, right? Because you get the penalty, and that's a bit more of a bonus than what you can expect in the first half. And then you've got the second goal, which again another set piece, which we've done fairly average with this season. But that was something. You get yourself 2-0 up. Post to sending off, you're in a comfortable position then. So you would have liked to have seen us go on to win 4 or 5, obviously.
Just to really give them a real good kick in and make us feel good about ourselves.
I think
That's
they
my
actually
view.
felt rubbish afterwards anyway. They were gutted, weren't they?
Yeah.
You know?
It was great seeing their fans going home so early as well in the game. I thought that was
60 minutes,
good. Yeah.
60 minutes.
I think the first one went after 4.
That's it, isn't it? But obviously, Sonny gets the goal straight after half time. That's the killer, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
And at that point, as Spurs fans, we always think, if they let one in, they're probably going to let 3 or 4 in.
But you look at what Harry Kane did for that third goal, the effort he put into that, the hold up that he did, and forced the player to actually dispatch the ball across, which went straight through to Sonny.
That being said as well,
that was a real
nice
old-fashioned centre forward
It was nice
job.
to see one of our centre backs actually putting in a forward pass into a channel like that for Kane. And Sanchez ball in there for Kane to hold up and obviously play someone else in was ideal. So props to Sanchez for that.
So happy days. We got ourselves within a point. So today we are on to Burnley. We have a good record with Burnley at home, not so much away. Views for today, George? What do you reckon? Tough game or not?
It's a tough game because of what they're going through relegation wise, and you can expect them to sit deep and sort of catch us on set pieces and things like that. So it won't be as that means they've come down on a very similar thing before, but I would say I'm going to go with a 3-0 Tottenham win. But that being said, it wouldn't surprise me if we're a 1-1 or a 2-1.
Ian, what do you think? What do you think about the Burnley situation? Because they're still precarious, right? They're still potentially can go down, right?
But they actually did capitulate last week, didn't they? So they'd had a couple of good results before that, but then they actually fell apart. Was it Leeds or something like that? I can't remember who it was.
They beat Villa. I think they were. Was it Villa? They were 2-0. They were 2-0 down. They won 3-2 or something.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it was Villa.
Because they've had some good results since Dyche went, didn't they?
Yeah, but the one
kind of picked
advantage that we've got is Sonny really needing to get on the goals today, right?
And that's why they took him off. That's why Conte
totally.
took him off, right? To keep him for today, keep him for
keep him
for
hungry
Norwich.
for it, you know.
Burnley won 3 on the trot, so they beat Southampton, they beat Wolves, they beat Watford. So Watford was the game they turned it around, not Villa. They just lost to Villa.
Yeah.
So hopefully that feeds into today's performance.
But if you actually look at Sonny, last year was the Burnley game where he actually won his that wonderful goal, the solo goal, the Puskás goal.
Puskás goal, right?
You know, so he will be so up for that today. If we can get an early goal, I can see us getting 3.
That's what we need. I think the Conte teams that we've seen, when we've not won or we've drawn or we haven't played very well, we start very slow.
I don't even mind actually not having Kulusevski. I think if you're actually playing Bergwijn or Müller, it would be the same.
It's going to be more of that, right? I reckon.
Müller, yeah. And then to bring Bergwijn on later.
2 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Unless we're 4-0 up.
Yeah.
Then he might bring him in a bit earlier. So, for me, I think, Burnley, I think this could go one or two ways. We could either absolutely smash them and get another 4-0 or something like that. Or this is going to be really difficult, because I think what they're going to try to do is they're going to try and frustrate the fans and frustrate the team, try and kill the atmosphere, because that's one of the things I'm really hoping for today, is that we get some atmosphere.
Yeah.
Because after showing what we can do in the North London derby, what you don't want to do is then go back to a crap atmosphere for a Burnley game.
So it's a 12 o'clock kick-off. That helps.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help because people not getting up. But I think a lot of the tickets have gone really quickly for this game, which normally they wouldn't do. This phase of the season, you'd have probably found a lot of seats at this point if we didn't have anything to play for.
It is the last home game of the season, so it's one of them where you always get a decent turnout when people know they ain't going to be coming for 2 or 3 months. Yeah. Especially coming off the back of a big win, still having top 4 something to play for as well, right? You see this. I think this time last year, if you just said Burnley at home, last game of the season, but you're 7th and you ain't going to do anything, that's you can understand why people ain't showing up, right? But yeah, it's one of them.
Bit annoyed about the 12 o'clock kickoff though. It's a bit of a, you know, it is a bit early for a you
it's
know,
very
a game.
unfair when you're playing Thursday night and then you're doing that. It's too quick. That's the reason. If we weren't playing on Sunday, Arsenal probably would have been told a lot more goals.
Yeah, maybe, and you know, but I'm just glad that I'm still so glad that we're still in with a chance at top 4. At the beginning of the season, we would have never have thought this was an option, would we? No. Especially how we started.
Well, we were 9th in November. We looked like we were going down more than we were going up. So it's one of them. I think, you know, put it in perspective. If you finish 5th, I still think it's a decent end to the season. But to be in with this chance, and to be fair, if Arsenal did get top 4, you can't say they don't deserve it because they've been one of the most consistent teams in the battle, right? But if we were managed to get above them and do that, then, you know, again, we will deserve that based on our quality that we've shown in this half of the season.
Yeah, but if you actually look at the difference between Arsenal and Tottenham have actually got a lot of scope for expansion. I don't know, Arsenal are just playing with kids and they haven't got a lot of experience there with them. Technically, if they get into Champions League next year, they'll probably be knocked out quite early. Whereas if Tottenham actually get into Champions League next year, a couple of additions to the squad, we can actually have a cracking season.
Depends on what Arsenal do though, right? Because if they go out and they buy some quality and get some experience in the team, because that's what they lack, right? Is a bit of experience in their team, which is something that we've kind of got now after being a young team for such a long time. We've got a fair bit of experience in that team.
It's not so much going out and buying flashy players for 100 million, because that's what they did with Pepe. And that didn't really work out too well. He's on the bench, didn't he? But you know, like what Chelsea did, they went and bought Thiago Silva, people like that, and they could go and really sort of have that wealth of experience in the team and go on to win big trophies because they have those players, right?
So but you look at
Arsenal would need to do something like that. We would need to do something a little bit different, I think, because you've got the experience there in Kane, Son, these guys that have gone to the Champions League, and, you know, play in the finals and all this other stuff. But I think
we need some proven winners, don't we? We need someone who's got experience of actually winning.
We do, but I think in terms of what's needed for Conte,
woo, nearly,
almost.
Get you next time.
Concentrate on your driving.
That's right. If anyone sees that flinch, it's Ian when you go to the bank.
If only this was smell-o-vision, mate, and you could smell some pants.
I've just raised by half an inch.
My eyebrow just went up 6 miles up my head. I was like,
he's not the greatest driver either, although we let him drive because I ain't got a licence and George is a
underage.
he's a pisshead.
He's only 12.
So we've now lost our thread of what we were saying. So, thanks for that.
In context, what I was saying is it depends. In terms of what Tottenham need, they need to improve in key areas in a Conte system. So it's going to be your wing backs. Although I've seen improvement in our left backs, the left side, I think our right side definitely could do with some improvement. And you need more of an engine, more of a football engine in the centre midfield area. And then you can start thinking, right, where can we challenge next year? We're not anywhere near what Liverpool and City can do.
We need a striker.
We won't be for a while. But
we need a backup striker. We need a creative midfielder for definite. We can play with the wing backs, but if you've got a stubborn team like Burnley might be today, where they sit deep in that, you need someone who's going to be able to unlock that.
This is where we're going to struggle today if we don't unlock it early. If we unlock it early, they've got to start chasing the game. But if the longer they sit there holding a draw, then the harder it's going to be.
And that's what I'm saying. If it kills the atmosphere, if there is an atmosphere, if it kills the atmosphere and it frustrates the fans, frustrates the team, then that could make it a really long day.
I feel like I think Burnley's current situation actually feeds quite nicely into Tottenham, because Tottenham like it when teams come at them in a way, and if you can get Burnley coming out to try and score against you, there'll be spaces in behind, right? But I think I've seen it when Tottenham have played well, what they do is, and I'm not talking about when they battered teams like Leeds and other teams this year,
Arsenal,
for example.
Arsenal,
and Arsenal, teams that come out at you. But what Tottenham do, rather than sort of press them in the middle of the pitch and make it a cagey game, they go right deep and they let us. We go to break out, and you see this quite a lot. And you're like, why are we standing so far off these other teams when they got the ball? And even Harry Kane's on the edge of his own area at times. You're like, well, why are we sitting so deep? But when they expand out, there's one ball that gets pinged out to Kulusevski or Son or whoever it is, and all of a sudden we're breaking and we find space, and that's what works well in the Conte system. But when you've got teams that sit there and they make us come and play for them, then yeah, that's when we struggle, and we ain't got that player to really unpick that lock, have we, apart from your Kanes. But you can't rely on him
but then if you bring in another striker, you've got that option of Kane being able to drop that little bit deeper. And I know I've picked up pelters from that before, people saying he's not a midfielder, he's a striker.
Yeah,
but he can do so much, can't he?
As a midfielder. As he gets older, he's going to actually drop back into that role, and he'll probably be as good in the midfield role as he is as a striker.
Well, it's what Rooney did, didn't it?
Rooney did the same. And people say, oh, you know, name another striker who's done that. And I think Rooney's a great example of that, where he had so much more to his game than just banging in the goals, to be fair.
Yeah.
So, oh well, so that's 15 minutes. We've took our lives in our hands. Ian's looking after us. We're about, 20 minutes away from the ground now?
Yeah.
So we'll be there, we'll be at the Gilpin's Bell and on to LT's. I think me and George are going to go to the Billy Nick, aren't we?
I think so.
We're going to pop down there, see the pole dancer and that.
That's the one.
Okay, we're going to do a video on the way back, provided we win. If we lose, we might just be miserable bastards. So anyway, let's leave it there. Up the Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.